So I'm not going to waste your time with those today. Let me give you this bit of news. The Nationwide Building Society has tightened up mortgage deals where you only pay back the interest every year rather than pay back interest and some of the original loan. Other lenders have already tightened up on the rules for these interest-only mortgages. The Nationwide says that in future it will only offer them to borrowers who have a deposit worth 50% of the value of their home or who have already paid off half their home's value. Lenders across the board have introduced stricter criteria after moves by the financial regulator to stop borrowers taking on more debt than they can afford. If you want to keep some of the money you earn on your savings out of the hand of the taxman, then you've got less than a fortnight to put as much as you're allowed into a tax-free ISA account. Remember, the allowance runs out when the tax year ends on April the 5th. David Braithwaite is an independent financial advisor from Citrus Financial Management. Just remind us, how much money are you allowed to put into a cash ISA?
This tax year, which ends in 2 weeks, is $5,340. The next tax year, that allowance is going up slightly, which has caught a few people out. That will now be $5,640 for next year. So within the space of a few weeks, you could actually hive away nearly £11,000 and not pay tax on the interest.
If you plan it right. And of course, that's the limit on how much you can put in a tax year. If you've already paid in the full amount and then withdrawn money, you can't top it up.
No, you can't go back and do it again, unfortunately, no.
And you're only allowed one new cash ISA every tax year.
Correct. So once the tax year is finished and gone, that's it. You've lost your limit for that year. You can't retrospectively go back in history and put it in. Once this new tax year starts, that's it. You start a new tax year. Right.
So people who've opened one already, people who've already paid in the maximum amount, they can go and make a cup of tea now, because
Correct.
We're going to talk instead about people who haven't made use of it yet. Should they? Given that interest rates are so low on some of the ISAs out there, is it really worth it? It's
definitely still worth it, because why pay tax on a savings account when you don't have to? So you can put this money into there. Now, some rates are getting really, really good now. Some statistic like 80% of the ISAs are all done on the last 8 weeks of the tax year. So you could put the money in now, and as of today, you can get an instant access ISA at 3.5% and not pay tax on that. And that's brilliant. So you could open that up. And somebody I was talking to this week was saying, but it's quite complicated. You've got to shop around, you look at the comparison websites you were referring to earlier, but I don't know what to do. I said, just do something. Put some money in. You can always transfer them later as well, of course, so you're not stuck with that one person. So there are a lot of people out there that have got these ISAs historically, paying really low rates. Move them around. Start making more action with what money you've got in there.
I'll come back to moving old ISAs in just a minute, but it's obvious when you say it out loud, but if you're paying 40% income tax, then you save more by having an ISA account, because you're not paying 40% interest on the income from your savings.
Yeah, and let's not forget as well, depending on what happens to interest rates in the next few years, you could end up putting your money into the ISA now, and in a few years' time the ISA and interest rates get better. You've already got that money put in there and you're not paying tax on that already because you did it now.
You said today, but of course banks and building societies, when it comes to ISAs, seem to move at the speed of sloth. They do take their time with it.
Yeah.
So you might find that even though there's a fortnight left to the deadline, you may need to actually move today or Monday.
I would say to people, they really need to start to do this, and by the end of next week, latest, have it all planned out and done, just to be on the safe side so you don't miss the deadline.
And this business of moving ISAs that you've had in previous years where the interest rate's gone down, you are allowed to move those to a new home without it affecting your allowance this year.
Yes, you are, but you have to do it very carefully. You have to go to the lender where you're looking at to move it to, the building society or the bank, get them to do the transfer for you. They will arrange that for you. Now, it does take a while. The average at the moment is about 15 days to transfer it across. Some of them will actually pay you interest from the day you start filling in the form, so it's worth doing. Shop around and make the most of it. It's an allowance. We should all be doing it. If people don't, they really need to be looking at it. OK, David Braithwaite, thank you very much. And that's all from Your Money for this week, our weekly programme about business and work. Show Me the Money here at 9.